Live from the Pepsi Studios in New York City, it's the Hospitality Hangout podcast with the restaurant guy and the finance guy. Everything's better with Pepsi.
And Starry. Don't forget Starry.
Jimbo, I am loving my sugar-free Starry, by the way. Jimmy, you know what I
favorite
love
to the
most?
Frischling household.
You know what I love most about the Starry? Mixing it with tequila. I mean, tequila or so I'm doing my ranch water with Starry instead of Topo Chico. I'm using Starry and tequila.
Yeah, so you do Don Julio and Starry.
Delicious.
Julio and Starry.
Uh-huh.
I like it. I like it. Elegante and Starry. Tito's and Starry. Do you think we might talk about drinking too much on this show?
A little bit too much.
A little bit. All right. Well, listen, I'm a big fan of Starry. Favorite beverage of the Frischling household. My daughter's a big fan. Makes me happy. Happy kid, happy wife, happy life. There you go. I'm in good shape. So thank you, Pepsi. By the way, not just a fan of the soda, also a fan of your swag. That's right, the Pepsi swag. I'm not in the Pepsi studio. I got banished today. I don't know what it was. I got banished.
I'll tell you what, it was technical difficulties. You couldn't get something to work.
Technical difficulties.
You know?
I gave up my seat for our guest, and I do that every day of the week and twice on Sundays, I tell you.
Well, lead us off, Jimbo. Kick us off, man.
All right. Well, I get to formally welcome everybody to the Hospitality Hangout, a hospitality-focused podcast where the founders, that's me and Shatsy, get to share insights and bring technology and innovation leaders that are making things happen in the industry we love. My name is Jimmy Frischling, as I mentioned, or Shatsy mentioned. But on this show, I'm the finance guy. I'd like to introduce my brother from another mother, Mr. Michael Schatzberg, also known as the restaurant guy.
And thank you for that fine, kind introduction, Jimbo. And to all those listening, feel free to call me Shatsy. We are at the intersection of hospitality, technology, innovation, investing, and of course, healthy foods, all kind of healthy foods, bowls, salads, you name it. We're at the intersection. Jimmy has been eating only bowls, no more plates, only bowls for the last 3 months, and he has dropped like 40 pounds. So it's really unbelievable. So bowls do work, people. So Jimmy on the bowl diet.
I'm on the bowl diet.
No. You know, Jimbo, I got to tell you, before we jump into it, I got to just say one thing that was on my mind all weekend long. You know, I watched a lot of basketball. March Madness was awesome. There was a lot of madness going on. I don't know if anyone's going to knock UConn out, but that's for another time. I got to tell you, Jimbo, all I was thinking about is my point of sale system. And you're saying, Shats, that's what you're thinking about on the weekend? Yeah, that's what I think about on the weekend. I'm watching basketball. I'm thinking about toast. I'm thinking about how much we love toast and how happy are that we switched to toast. And Jimbo, what did I say? What did I say, Jimmy?
I love this because Shatsy had said to our listeners, he said he would never change his POS. And I laughed and I said, wow, you're really testing the gods on that one. You know, the expression never say never. He said he'd never change. And lo and behold, moved all our stores to toast. And now, you know why you're thinking about toast? Because you're not getting the same stress as you used to get.
No,
you're not getting the same
the stress. The staff likes it. The managers like it. The customers like it. It's seamless.
Intuitive.
It's easy.
Intuitive.
Here's what I say, Jimmy. Toast is the Apple of point of sale. Mic drop. Mic drop. I said it. By
the way, Toast might pick up on that. They're going to give you no residual, but that's okay. They are the Apple. You take it out of the box, and boom, you're in business.
I love it. All right, Jimbo, we got a great show. Let's lead us off with a little. I think you always lead things off with a little bit.
Yes,
of your,
I get to lead off, and I'm particularly excited because I got to tell you, we've done like 200 episodes of the Hospitality Hangout, and I don't think I've ever been able to reference the 1979 cult classic, The Warriors. But I'm going to kick us off with, can you dig it? Cyrus is, can you dig it? And the reason why I'm so excited I get to reference The Warriors is because we have our friend, Miss Tracy Kim, the CEO of DIG, is on the show, and this is going to be a good one. But before we get started, before we finally let Tracy in and participating, we're going to release this episode as we always do on Tuesdays. We get to play Trivia Tuesday. Here's how the game works. I have 3 factoids about our friend Tracy. 2 are true. You weren't good last week, but you know what, Tracy? Today's Redemption Day. So anyway, 2 truths and 1 is not truth, also known as a lie. 3 factoids, true or false. Here we go. Fact 1, Tracy has climbed Mount Kilimanjaro.
I'm sitting next to Tracy. I got to tell you something. I can believe it.
I can believe it.
No, she looks like a mountain climber. She has that look of mountain climbing.
Okay, Shatsy, then here's fact 2. Tracy has been arrested.
As opposed to never being arrested.
Does she look like she could be someone who has been arrested?
I mean, I was arrested. I was driving unbeknownst to me with a suspended driver's license. I didn't know, so I was technically arrested. It was exactly.
By the way, you didn't get pulled over. You didn't get pulled over for driving with an expired license.
I may have been going a few miles over the speed limit, but I wasn't like, it wasn't exactly like, I wasn't shooting people.
All right. And fact 3, Tracy invented the 2-color pot of gold Lucky Charm marshmallow. I mean, that's, by the way, that comes out of invented the 2-color pot of gold Lucky Charm marshmallow.
I'm trying to get her to give me a tell. I'm looking at her in the eyes, but she's not. She's got like a poker face, man.
I'm not even sure I said it right, but I got to tell you, that's the factoids. Climbed Mount Kilimanjaro, has been arrested, invented the 2-color pot of gold Lucky Charm marshmallow. So look, those are the factoids. Stick around to the end of the episode. We'll let Shatsy guess, and who knows? Maybe you'll get it right. All right. So
love it. I love it.
Why don't we kick in? Let's bring our friend Tracy in. She's been patient. She's right now looking at her booker, her head of marketing, being like, why'd you book me on this show? But here we go, Shatsy. Let's bring us in.
All right. Let's just go back because, Jimmy, we always like to find out how our guests became. How'd they get to the position they're in,
Yes.
How did Tracy become the head of DIG? So we go back to the 1980s, pre-med Stanford University, maybe 1990s. 1992. 1992, Stanford pre-med. Mom and dad are thrilled about the possibility of becoming a doctor. But now, mind you, she already had an MBA from Harvard University, Jimbo. That's right, Harvard University, okay? But her first job was at Mrs. Fields Cookies. That's right, she was at Mrs. Fields Cookies. While she was in Boston over at Copley Center, she was at the Copley Center Mall, and she was selling cookies over there, and she loved it. Loved it so much. Now, she had a little bit of time over at McKinsey, that little company that does some consulting and advisory work, Jimmy.
Yes.
And she worked at Shutterstock, had some stuff over there. Aptiv, don't know what that is, but very impressive. She was there for 5 years over at Aptiv, did some amazing things over there. But I got to tell you, but after all of that incredible stuff, pre-med, Harvard Business School, Mrs. Fields Cookie, you know where she came back to, Jimbo?
Back to hospitality.
That's right. Let's bring her in. Ladies and gentlemen, here she is, the current CEO, COO, president, chairman of the board of DIG, the greatest restaurant of all time, Miss Tracy Kim. Welcome to the Hospitality Hangout.
Wow, what
Tracy,
a welcome.
How many of those facts did Shatsy get right? What's he batting today?
How
do you do?
I say Shatsy is, I got some title inflation there with things like chairman of the board and that kind of thing, but I'll take it.
Yeah, man.
I'll take
good stuff. Yeah.
It's good stuff.
So tell me what.
Correct.
So talk to us. How are you now, the head of DIG? I mean, I know this DIG in because I'm an old timer.
Yeah, I know this DIG in too because I'm also an old timer. So
you devil, you were spent a lot of years at school at McKinsey and all these other places. Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell us, give us what I got right and what I get wrong.
You got most of it right. Most of it right. Let me tell the 30-second story because my background is super unconventional, as you have articulated for this industry. The pre-med thing, I mean, it just turns out I didn't actually like science. So that's a problem when you're trying to become a doctor,
Yes.
And as you said, I worked a lot of sort of hospitality jobs in college. Mrs. Fields was one. I actually ran the eating clubs at Stanford. I opened a frozen yogurt cafe at Stanford. So I was sort of into the hospitality thing in college. The first part of my career is really consumer focused. So I spent time at places like General Mills. My McKinsey work was all consumer focused. So sales and marketing work. And then worked at Weight-Watchers for a number of years, running their licensing group. And then part 2 of my career was I took a little break when our son was born. I'm not going to tell you how old he is now because that would date me and age me.
That's okay. So, we got it. We already got it because if you were like in pre-med in 92.
We got it. Yeah.
Our listeners are very,
He's almost 17.
Yeah.
He's almost 17.
We triangulate very well here.
Yeah.
I know that character from, what do you call it? The boom. Oh God! When the kid goes to college and 9 years old, that's Tracy. That
Doogie
character
Howser, that was me. Yeah,
there you go. That was Tracy.
Doogie Howser.
There you go.
I just
Doogie.
dated myself yet again, being able to pull out Doogie Howser.
If anyone can quote Doogie Howser, you're old as dirt.
Exactly. Part 2 of my career was mostly on the technology space, and so when I came back after having our son and spending a little bit of time with him, spend time with earlier stage tech companies. So these are companies that were not startups. They were early stage, meaning they'd found product market fit and they were trying to figure out how to scale and grow. And so DIG to me is the perfect combination of all those things. It's a consumer-facing product, obviously. It's in the restaurant business. It's consumer-facing first and foremost. And sort of post-COVID, it's back in sort of the scaling and growing stage. And so it's really a nice combination of the two chapters of my career. And so I am loving it. I'm loving being back in hospitality, loving being in sort of the scale and grow mode versus that COVID mode, the dirty word. And so here we are.
I love it.
You are so let's dig in.
Oh,
and
Jimbo!
Let's
on more than him.
Let's dig in. Let's dig into it.
Amen.
Listen, for our listeners who may not know about the history of DIG, and actually I've been privileged to know it very early on. As whoa, speaking of dig in. Oh, hello.
It's
Tracy came bringing gifts.
Yum, yum,
Oh,
yum.
wow. Look at
By the way,
this.
does Tracy have any idea of how distracting this could be to me? Because I literally could basically lose interest in the
Ooh,
podcast
and even
dive
says
into
dig
this.
on the little cover.
It does. Isn't that
This is
fancy?
nice.
Really nice.
This is
Good
fancy.
branding, huh?
Fancy like dig in. Fancy like dig. But listen, dig actually started out as Pump Energy,
Yep.
and there was one right by my house,
Yep.
and I was a big fan. Then it became Dig In, and I got to tell you, there was one right by my office. And again, I really
Jimmy, what
just
channel
love
you got on the back of your TV over there? I mean, I see some guy, Richard, was scratching his arms over there. What the hell is? What are you watching?
It's CNBC. So I got to tell you, if there's,
Are you sure?
There's like some
I'm sure
exercise
now
program.
they've got
All
advertising.
right, go ahead. I'm
Dad,
sorry.
you focus on me and the
I was
focus on me and the
distracted.
guest.
It was some arm scratching with the lotions of something.
I don't
calamine
want to
lotion
distract
or
any. I don't want to distract anybody. But then, so Pump Energy became Dig In. Had one by my office. Big fan. Just loved how it was just. I felt it was really high quality and yet very accessible, and I just really enjoyed. I felt like I was treating myself while also being healthy. But while the name has changed, the mission at DIG has not. It's to serve thoroughly sourced, high-quality, vegetable-forward food. That has not changed. So as a New Yorker, I can tell you it's been a staple for me in my career for years. And correct me if I'm wrong, Tracy, but the trick the marketing team at DIG, maybe the best trick the marketing team ever pulled off, was positioning DIG as having dinner food for lunch. As I said, it felt like substantial. It felt it was meaningful.
I got a big
also
bowl
just-
here in front of me, Jimbo. I mean, this looks like a hearty lunch.
Yeah, so tell me more about this, the strategy of dinner food for lunch.
Yeah.
If I'm correct in my assessment.
Yeah, I mean, pre-COVID, I think, as you probably know, is you were probably it sounds like you were in the lunch lines at DIG pre-COVID. I mean, they were long.
Yes.
It was a lunch business. It was a bowl business.
Jimmy's going in heavy on vegetarian. He loves it.
Oh, good.
Loves it.
So
Good.
I'd add a protein. I'd get my protein in there. I get the
Has
protein.
some great proteins too.
Yep.
Yeah. And so, like you said, I do think that as you know the food, you know the product. A lot of it is actually like more dinner food than it is lunch food. And so,
Yes.
post-COVID, in the new hybrid work environment that we're in, we've really sort of double-clicked on that and really sort of opened up both day parts. And turns out, guess what? Our food is delicious for dinner as well as it is for lunch, and in some ways more appropriate for dinner than lunch. And so part of our strategy post-COVID has really been trying to expand that. Pre-COVID, we were probably something like 80-20, 85-20 lunch and dinner in terms of the business split. And now we're much more like 60-40, 60 being lunch, 40 being dinner, with a more even split, even in the suburbs. And so there's a great use case. And the nice thing about our food, because it is sort of cooked in restaurant, it's cooked hot, it's cooked fresh. It's something that there's lots of need for, both at dinner and for lunch. So lunch tends to be a little bit more individual bowls, like people coming in to get their quick bowl for lunch, or catering. Catering is a big, big use case these days for us
Catering
during
is
lunch.
big.
A lot of people are trying to bribe their workers to come back into the office. Free lunch is a big part of that proposition. And so we've benefited from that trend with regards to catering really exploding post-COVID.
Are there just bowls at DIG, or do you have plates? Or is it just bowls?
It is mostly bowls, although I will say that in the suburban locations, when we do have kind of the dishware, not just a disposable, we have, call it, I don't know, a very shallow bowl that could
Could be a plate.
Could be a
Yeah,
plate.
I got to tell you, from as far as I'm concerned, I think bowls are like a new phenomena in like our eating. Like everyone was always on a plate. Like you grew up, your mom set the table. You were putting plates out there. They're bowls. A bowl if you're having soup, right? You know what else, Jimbo, I really like? The spoon or the spork. A bowl and a spork really are the best for eating anything. Really, everything should be in a bowl with a spork. Right?
And where did the spork get originated with Shatz? Where was the first time you ever experienced a spork?
You know what? I don't remember, Jim, but I got to be honest.
Kentucky Fried Chicken, KFC.
KFC.
It's the
KFC
best. It really is the best tool.
It's like the
because
best.
eating a spoon or a spork, it's really outside of soup. You can get a lot more quicker into your mouth. Just a bowl and a spork. Or
you know, Shatz, you did the introduction to Tracy. You do understand that she has Stanford and Harvard as part of her educational pedigree, and you and I are talking about
sporks and bowls.
Listen,
yeah, but I got to tell you,
I'm just saying, Shatsy, like we're talking sporks. We got the Stanford and Harvard.
Well, I'll tell you, this dovetails into my next question, though, Jim, because I know that Tracy went to Stanford, went to Harvard. Could have been a doctor, who knows what else. Worked at McKinsey. I mean, you don't get to McKinsey unless you're super smart. You know, McKinsey's never called me, Jimbo. You know, maybe I owe them money. They called me one time because I owed them money. That was the only time McKinsey ever called me, is their bookkeeping department. You know what I mean? But I will tell you, I mean, it's no surprise that Tracy brings a lot of her knowledge and power and smarts to DIG. You know what I mean? So I found it funny that some of the naming conventions they use to target their customers, and they use, I mean, we all know demographics, right? But psychographics, I found very interesting. I don't know what psychographics are. I mean, but I want to hear a little bit about it. And American royalty, like what is the whole, so is it American royalty? Is that what we're calling our customers American royalty? Or are we calling Tracy Kim American royalty? Or is it a combination thereof?
It might be some sort of combination. So let me just go back. Let me go back. You're right. Like the consumer, it's a consumer business. And I think as many consumer businesses know, the consumer segmentation is so important because the demographics, as you say, it's basic information. It's age, income, it's, you know, that kind of thing. The psychographic is trying to get at sort of in their head in terms of buying patterns. And so what we do is we, with the help of one of our vendors, utilize our credit card data, essentially, and we're able to sort of connect it to Equifax, which is a credit agency, to understand kind of what our consumers are actually buying and to help sort of build a profile.
Other purchases outside of DIG.
Exactly. So that we can sort of get a sense of like who they are and what they purchase. We still do have the demographic information tied to that. And so it gives us a very holistic view of the different consumer types that are out there. So it's funny, like if you look at our urban restaurants, I mean, no surprise, it's kind of three. By the way, there's like 72 or 75 of these segments that have been developed.
Right.
There are only three that matter for us in our urban. And so let me give you some of the examples.
Yeah, let's hear it.
It's like Jet Set Urbanites, Urban Edge. It's basically affluent singles and rising couples is what I would call it.
Jet Set Urbanites.
I want the job to come up with those names. It's like coming up with nail polish colors. It's the best job on earth.
Jimmy could do either of those tasks, no problem. He could do nail polish colors and come up with cool names like this. He probably wrote down Jet Set Urbanite already.
I believe it.
I did.
I believe it.
I did.
He'll probably use it in his weekend newsletter. I guaranteed you'll see it.
Yeah? Okay, I can't wait to see it in print.
Jimmy doesn't call it stealing. What do you call it, Jimbo? Borrowing?
Imitation is a heightened form of flattery.
Yeah, I love
it. There you go. And I can't even take credit for it. There are other people who came up with these names, so I don't want to.
So what are the other names? You got Jet Setter. We got the
Urban Edge.
Urban Edge.
We have Metro Means, but they, it's essentially sort of like the rising singles and couples. Very ambitious. Very, have some disposable income, that kind of thing. Our suburban profiles are different. So these are also sort of tend to be on the above average side in terms of income and affluence, but it skews very much towards family. And so the two segments that are the biggest segments for us in our suburban restaurants are one you've alluded to, American royalty. I am proud for once in my life to be able to be part of the American royalty. That is my segment. Middle-aged families. That's me. I'll call myself middle-aged. Middle-aged families, teenage kids, disposable income to spend on things like this, and living in, decently nice suburbs. And so do
you have like a category for like Lululemon people?
I mean, Lululemon people, I would be shocked if they don't overlap our segments very, very closely.
Yeah, there's got to be. I mean, if you say who's buying Lululemon, who's eating at DIG, I mean, that's got to be unbelievable.
It's got to be close.
Or was it Alo? What's the
Alo? They skew younger, is my guess.
Is that right?
They skew more towards our urban. That's my guess. I don't know.
Yeah. No. That's like the hot. I see all the girls. I see everything. Lululemon, the Halo is all over the place.
I think they skew young.
Who came up with putting the logo? You know the logos they're not on the normal spot. Like the Lululemon stuff's like
They're
in the
like
back.
on the back.
Is
I
it
think
Alo or
that's
Olo?
genius.
Olo? What's it called?
It's not Olo.
Yeah, we know Olo.
Not Olo.
We know Olo well.
What's the workout
I know.
stuff? ALO,
I
isn't
don't
it?
know how to pronounce it. It's ALO.
ALO.
I don't know how to pronounce
It's
it.
on the leg of the pant. It's like, well,
It's keeping you guessing.
no, but I remember when I grew up, man, you had a polo horse right here.
That's true.
You had the alligator, you had the horse.
Yeah, you had the eyes. You had the
Now
eyes
you're
on
dating
Gator.
yourself. The 80s,
You had the
that was
gator.
hot.
Yeah, no, nobody does that anymore. Now you got to put it in some weird spot you can't really see it.
I know.
Well, anyway.
Shazzy's waiting for members-only jackets to make a comeback.
Do you have
Members
a
only.
Target segment for
Yes.
members only, old members only wearers? You're
We're
like,
gonna develop
you
one.
come to dig.
Following
You've
this
aged out.
podcast, we're going to develop one because it's a good
Develop
idea.
one. First of all, I love Tracy. First of all, I love all those.
But wait a minute. By the way, I just want to tell you, ALO stands for, producer just gave me a fun fact, Air, Land, Ocean.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's
Who knew?
Yeah, who knew?
Air,
Jimbo.
land, ocean.
Jimbo, once again, the Hospitality Hangout, just giving knowledge.
Producer's going to
Give it
tell us how to
dropping
pronounce
knowledge.
it, too. That's
Yeah,
going
how
to
do
be
you
the next
pronounce it?
prompt.
Can you-
That's going to be the next prompt.
Aloe vera, pronounced aloe. Aloe.
There you go.
Aloe.
You learned
Okay.
something
Aloe,
new.
like aloe vera. Aloe. Okay.
All right, listen. I happen to resemble, or I think I am one of the rare divergents in terms of I touch some of these buckets. I also love, by the
do.
way, I bring my young daughter to your stores, and basically it's like kid choose what you like, because you know what, whatever she chooses, these are good choices as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
And our daughter's and my wife is concerned. If she's choosing, it's good stuff for her. But all kidding aside, I think these are fun and clever names, but the strategy, and I was really hoping you'd make Shazzy say the word data. The strategy
Data,
is the
Jimmy.
data
I think it's
behind.
data.
Yeah, I know you like that. You like data. It's data. But I think the data behind each segment is really, I think it's awesome, because that's how you're driving the business decisions and how I think it relates, as I understand it, to your expansion strategy. So talk more about, you were talking about the suburbs and how it's a different audience, but how has DIG transitioned from the city to the suburbs, from lunch and from dinner? And as I think you alluded to when you said it's more families, you're going from the single serving, of which is how I really know the store and know your brand, is for lunch. But how are you transitioning out to family meals, particularly out in the suburbs?
Yeah. I mean, I think COVID was game-changing for this business because it obviously forced us to think beyond just the cities and beyond just city lunch in terms of just keeping the business going. And so our strategy, I mean, as we all know, the hybrid workforce, for better or worse, I think is a permanent part of our workforce culture.
Yes.
I know there are a lot of offices trying to sort of force to 3, 4, 5 days in the office, but the fundamental truth is
We're going 7 at Brandon. We're pushing for 7, maybe even 8.
go.
We may even do 8. Jimmy
Listen.
proposed 8 days a week.
Listen, if you guys can pull it off, hallelujah, we'll send you free catering. But we really do believe that it's here to stay, the hybrid workforce. And so for us, we just want to be where the mouths are, whether you're sort of working in the cities, whether you're working from home in the suburbs. We do believe that our offering works well in both situations. So
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. This
No,
is
that's
very
okay.
important.
That's okay.
About the hybrid work, from your perspective as a restaurant owner and operator with hundreds of locations globally, has
I love that
Tuesday
hyperbole.
become the new Thursday? Is Monday and Friday like Friday used to be a big lunch day.
Yeah.
But now because of this hybrid, Mondays and Fridays, are you seeing like, no, those aren't? Now it's like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Tuesday's the new. What do you think?
Yeah, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday for us are the biggest days of
But
the
that's
week.
changed a lot, right?
That's
that
changed
wasn't
a
the way it
lot.
used to be.
It used to be a Monday through Friday business. Now the way that our cadence is Tuesday through Thursday are the hottest days. Monday is also coming back to that level. Friday is soft for us relative to those
We
other
used to go out and
days.
party on Thursday night. That was the big night. My understanding from the young cool kids, Tuesday night's the big night out.
Is that true?
That's what I'm hearing. Jimmy, what do you do? Jimmy goes out there Tuesday nights.
Jimmy, when are you clubbing?
I go out clubbing on Tuesdays.
Yeah,
Yes,
okay.
that's my
big
big
night out.
All right.
No, I will agree with Shatsy that first of all, our own restaurants and our reservation books, I'm watching an earlier embracement for earlier dinners. That's amazing to me.
That's just because you're old, Jimmy. You're looking for that half price 5 o'clock special.
Yes. Why? Because I got bumped out of my 6:30 spot.
Yeah.
And then I do notice that people really want to be home now on Thursdays and roll into the longer weekend. So Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, like lunches on Thursdays are a big deal.
Bigger than Fridays. And Friday used to be
bigger
the
than Fridays
killer
now.
lunch.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Sorry to interrupt.
No,
It's just
that's
something
okay.
I had to get out there.
No, it's true. Tuesday of the days of the week, Tuesday is our biggest day, actually, even, relative to Wednesday, Thursday. So I think you're
Tuesday,
totally
man.
right. Tuesday, Taco Tuesday.
Everyone's coming in Tuesdays and they're going out for happy hour and they're going for dinner and they're partying like mad. Jimmy, what night have we always gone out for dinner?
Tuesday
For
night.
20-something years.
Wow.
Way ahead of the curve, Jim, but we
Way ahead of the
always
curve.
were way on. We were on Tuesday nights. Go ahead. Sorry.
You guys are
All
the
right.
trendsetters. You guys are the
Yeah.
trendsetters.
I agree.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's been part of our expansion strategy, has really been getting out to the suburbs. So pre-COVID, we had one suburban location. It was out in Westchester, which is near where I live. All of our restaurant openings now, for the most part, are really in the suburbs. And so our most recent opening was in Bethesda, Maryland, which is a suburb of DC. And
That's got a big Lululemon crowd. I know it.
It does. Bethesda Row is where we are. Lululemon, I am sure, I can't actually picture it, but I'm sure it's there. It's a massive sort of Lululemon crowd. That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And the suburbs for us, I mean, we're lucky in that we have all of the basic building blocks to
So
actually.
are you no more? Is it no more? Not no. It might make no more. Is it less urban? You're not opening a lot more in the city. Is it less urban? Less?
It's not less. I mean, of our locations, we were almost all in the city. So it's
Yeah.
really just diversifying our portfolio.
Right.
It's not to say that we wouldn't open any more city locations. As an example, we're looking very closely at one in DC, in the city.
Is that breaking news?
In DC. That is breaking news.
All right,
Keep it to
Jimbo, we got
ourselves.
breaking news
Nothing-
once again. The Hangout bringing breaking news. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
But we're looking, it's not at the exclusion of the cities at all, especially in our secondary markets. But we are trying to balance a portfolio out to be sort of much more evenly spread across urban and suburban.
I love it.
Yeah.
Listen, let's change direction just a little bit. Let's talk tech, okay? Let's talk tech. From what I understand, originally, DIG was really growing their own technology strategy, trying to build their own technology, developing what they wanted in-house for their unique needs. And now things are changing a little bit, and you're outsourcing. You're looking for best-in-class third-party vendors to bring in. So instead of building yourself, you're going to find great products out there. Why the change? And can you tell us about like what's in your tech stack and what are you guys thinking about? Like where are you guys putting the time and energy?
Yeah. It's a great question. So in defense,
I asked the best questions.
You ask great questions. Let me answer
really
your great
does.
question. He does ask great questions. Yeah. So, when DIG was first building out their sort of in-house technology, in fairness to that team, none of these third-party solutions existed at the time. And so they were doing what they had to, this is before my time, to sort of, accommodate online orders, which was becoming a much bigger thing, and trying to avoid sort of falling victim to third parties. Time passes, years pass, and people smell opportunity, as you guys do with your portfolio companies.
Sure.
And there are a ton of good options out there that are third party where we do not have to employ an engineering team in-house, and it's seamless. And so
And you know what else I think when people talk about tech, because a lot of the big legacy brands, the old Brinkers of the day, a lot of times they built their own tech simply because A, it didn't exist.
Yeah.
And B, something that did exist was just so not what they wanted. And it's cool. But the thing is then, when you first bring in the tech, it's great. You launch it, you got the engineers, you bring in this great tech, but you got to maintain that and continually bring integrations in and continually upgrading and updating it, which becomes, like you said, now you're not a restaurant and now you become almost a tech company.
Yeah, exactly. And it just takes, unless you're willing to invest just so much money in those engineering teams
And time. Yeah.
it just becomes, for some of the more sort of, call it day-to-day tasks, it's just not worth it. I mean, we were employing just like huge teams in India and South America, and we had a couple of in-house engineers. It's just not worth it. It takes away your time from exactly what the point of your business is, which is hospitality.
And
right?
if you're important enough to a bunch of vendors, I mean, you can help them with the roadmap, which ends up maybe helping on your roadmap. But if you're looking to see them, if you're important enough to a certain vendor, you can say, hey, I'd really like to see this. And they'll work it in because, you're that big.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So we are almost done. 30 more days and we'll be completely outsourced in terms of our tech stack. And so,
Wow.
Yeah. And by the way,
Jimmy's getting excited.
Your intro vendor is one that is part of our tech stack, by the way.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it's been game changing for us, and specifically for Melina, who is running our product tech team. I mean, I think the number of headaches that she had to take, like picture just being woken up at 3 a.m. or 10 at night or whenever on the weekends when there's a problem. Now we have a whole team who helps us with those problems. It's just so much more practical. It's so much more seamless for us. So hallelujah for that. And hallelujah for all the geniuses who built these vendor.
And let's just say hallelujah. I just like saying the word.
Let's just say hallelujah.
Hallelujah. I mean, hallelujah is great. Jimbo?
I dig what you're doing here, Sats, with the hallelujah. Totally dig it. Listen, anyone who knows me knows that I bleed green. Okay, if you know, you know, but I bleed green. I'm wearing my green bracelets. It's a camp reference, okay? But
what
my
camp,
point
Jimmy?
is,
Tell us what camp, just so I understand.
Like it's the camp. It's the Brant Lake camp in the Adirondack Mountains.
It's not even Brant Lake camp.
It's the
Brant Lake camp.
in the Adirondack.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, the Brant Lake camp in the Adirondack Mountains. But I love that when people get passionate, and whether it's personally or professionally, they're into it. And what a great thing that is. You know, your brand, your employees, they bleed for your brand. And you know, you were chatting with Julie, our partner, head of our media and marketing, and she talked about you guys have a real culture. And your employees are part of the DIG family. So share a little about that, because Chatsy and I, we're passionate about what we're doing, about branded. Why walk when you can run? But share a little bit about DIG and the culture and your employees who are bleeding for Team DIG.
What's the color? What's DIG's color?
We've changed colors over the years, so I'm just going to say they bleed DIG. How about that?
All right.
Bleed DIG. There you go.
DIG. And that's what we call it. There's like the people's chief people on our team. Really bleed DIG. I cannot emphasize how grateful. I mean, it is just like mind-numbing when you actually are relatively new to the organization. It's a group of people who are truly passionate.
How many people you got working at DIG, do you think?
Well, I'm trying to think. It's something in, I don't know, 500 or 600, something like that.
So 10,000 people working at DIG.
10,
Unbelievable.
I will say your staff,
people.
from my experience,
people.
Your staff is your crew is into it.
It's
like they
into
feel
it.
when you're coming in and waiting on the line to experience DIG, they feel like it's like a kinship.
Yeah.
Like we're coming to, we know what we're there for. We're there for the bowls. We're there for the protein and the veggies and the quinoa and all. And your staff is into it.
Yeah.
Like it's clear they're having a good time.
Well, I'm so glad to hear you say that, because they are into it. And it really is something. Like, let me just tell you a couple stories that'll kind of show how into it they are. In the fall, we had a big sort of Thanksgiving push where we were sort of offering turkeys and mashed potatoes, basically Thanksgiving packages, because it's a little bit kind of like what we do, roast vegetables, that kind of thing.
Sure.
It was a relatively last minute decision, as we sometimes do, because we wanted to boost our sales in the fall. We successfully did that with this push, but the demand was more than we expected. And so we had restaurant workers who showed up at 3 a.m. just so that they could get these catering packages out on time. They just voluntarily showed up at 3 a.m. So there was no risk of something being late for Thanksgiving. We had a restaurant leader who canceled their vacation. They canceled their vacation so they could help their teams put out Thanksgiving catering packages. Like, I don't think that's normal. I really don't. Like, I actually think that this is a team who just really loves what they do. I owe a huge debt of gratitude to all of the multi-unit restaurant leaders. These are the men and women who are really sort of supporting the culture and have really developed families out of their teams. All the restaurants put on what they call family meal once a week, where they're cooking whatever. I mean, you see an ethnic range of cuisine that's served for family meal. And this is all to say that it really is a work family. And I don't think that you can train people to be that passionate. I don't think you can train someone to come in at 3 a.m. or cancel vacations. I just think that's like a cultural ethos that this company, given its mission, has.
People are having a good time. They're enjoying what they're doing. That's important.
And they love their teams. Yeah.
You know, it's funny, we talk about hybrid working and hybrid working and Mondays off and Fridays off. In the hospitality world, we don't really have the luxury of hybrid, do we? We really,
no.
It's hard to run a restaurant hybrid. It's hard to make all this food hybrid. So it's really, when we talk about hybrid and change, it really doesn't apply to hospitality. You go to a hotel, it's hard to imagine that nobody's there working. It's like, just here are the keys. Go check in.
Do your thing. Exactly.
Jimmy won't mind, though, because Jimmy doesn't get housekeeping. So he could actually go to a hotel with nobody there, because Jimmy doesn't want anyone coming into his room. He could be there for a week. He wants no one in his room.
that
So
true?
he's okay. Yeah, Jimmy's weird like that.
I'm usually per conference. I'm a 2-night person, and I feel for 2 nights I don't need my towels changed. I don't need my bed. Shatty wants turn down service. I don't need to bother.
Pillow, man.
I don't need to bother anybody.
The
I
little
don't need
car
someone
with
in
the
my
weather
room.
with the smiley face.
Yes,
What am I expecting tomorrow?
I'm good.
This matches
I'm
the
good.
finance guy and the restaurant guy, I have to say.
Yep.
This behavior matches the
I like my room
personas.
near the elevator. I want to be close to the elevator bag. I want a short walk. I'll take a low floor. I'm just there to get my work done. Just let me in and out.
All right, good for you.
Shatty wants views. He wants corner access. It's
Jimbo, do you hear what that
we
is?
check in differently. Oh,
That's the
yeah.
Oscar music telling you that you can't speak anymore because we've got what's hot and what's not coming, Jimbo.
Here we go.
Let's do
Great
it.
segment. Tracy, I'm going to ask you I'm going to say a phrase and you say hot or not.
Okay.
All right. Don't think too hard. Just
All
let
right.
us know. Hot or not. Are you? IoT smart kitchens, hot or not?
Hot.
Robot servers, hot or not?
Not.
Not.
Jimbo,
So,
do you care to opine on the hot or not segment?
Yeah, I want to jump in here. I really like them all, and I could grab any and all of these things. But the one that I think caught my attention, and I'm in agreement with you, by the way. But for people that know DIG, they know there really is there is a health and heartiness, and there's thoughtfulness, and I think it's a high quality, and especially the vegetables. So plant-based menus, you went with conviction of not. So here you are. You're on the healthier side of the ledger, and here we get all these plant-based. Isn't plant-based gonna do all this amazing thing for the world and people and diets? And you went a solid not. So I want you to share a little bit more on that. And again, I'm not poking fun because Shats and I are in the big not category on that for reasons that might be similar or different than yours. But how about your reasons for the big not?
Yeah, no, I think it's great. I mean, we obviously do have a great selection of vegetables. The way that I read plant-based is in things like, I don't want to say names, but
Look at Impossible Burger.
like
You're thinking,
Impossible
right,
Burger.
right.
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
like fundamentally, DIG believes in balance, is what I would say, healthful balance. And so,
Yes.
it's absolutely true that people should eat their vegetables. We would never say otherwise, but we have proteins on the menu for a reason. And by the way, balance also means healthy, but also sometimes it's okay to have an indulgence. We have a chocolate chip cookie on our menu. We have a mac and cheese on our menu. It's okay. But
I've never known anyone getting sick from eating a chocolate chip cookie. And no one I know has died from eating mac and cheese. Nobody.
Yeah, there you
Nobody.
go. There you go. But I do fundamentally believe
Balance.
life is all about balance and diets are all about balance. And so for that reason, that's why I nodded that one. I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
Yeah. No, I first of all, I think for the vegetarians that I know, they don't lean to this, like they don't scream the healthy side. They also like to indulge, and they can have a great veggie burger, and then those exist, and they can put cheese on it, and they can even put mayo on it, sauces. They want the flavoring, and they choose not to eat animal products.
Yeah.
So the idea of, we'll call it fake proteins through the plant-based, and some of it is not healthy. Some of it is very high in sodium and otherwise. So again, I'm a big believer in let people do what they want to do, and I love choices and optionality. But I thought people went a little crazy when the plant-based came out, because I think stores like yours, I feel like I'm getting tremendous value in the vegetables, and they're high quality, and I enjoy them. They're flavorful. And so I think I'm eating well, and then I get to have a protein as well. So again, to me, I think there was a little bit too much overhyped, and we could spend an entire episode on the other hots or not, but Chats, he would kill me and probably not even invite me back to
It's
our
your
old
podcast, Jim. You got half the
Yeah.
podcast. Well, you're always invited back.
So let me shift over to talking back, okay? Shats and I clearly like chatting. Our listeners are always like, you guys want to shorten the podcast? I'm like, nah, we'll just keep going. But we learned along the way that sometimes our guests have a question or two for us. So here's talking back. Tracy, we'll let you take the helm. No questions off the table. The microphone, my friend, is yours.
All right. Let me start with this. I mean, obviously, you guys have purview across both hospitality and technology. As you say, you're at the intersection of those things. Where do you see the hospitality technology going? What's on the next frontier?
Good question there.
You want to jump in on that?
Yeah,
Schatzzy?
I mean, look, it's a lot. It's a lot. So I'm just going to look at an area that I am certainly thinking more and more about each and every day. There was certainly a big event in the news just recently with a new CEO of an old restaurant group with a girl's name, Wendy's. I said it, Jimmy. I said it. And I got to tell you, I
was like,
think
where are you going?
that there's, when people talk about surge pricing, dynamic pricing, revenue management, things like that, I think there's a lot of different names out there. Some sound better than others. I think, I travel a lot. Jimmy travels a lot. I'm sure you travel a lot. I mean, airlines, hotels, car rentals, even the Ubers and Lyfts of the world, shared cars, whatever you want to call them. I mean, they have been using algorithms to understand supply and demand and adjust price accordingly. It's been, Uber, that's their whole model, et cetera. So airlines have been doing it for years. Hotels, we talked about revenue management. They want to make sure that those rooms, that hotel is 85, 95, 100% full. So the prices are going to go up and down accordingly. So I think that restaurants, it's an area of opportunity. We're restaurant guys, so we're all about doing what's best for restaurant operators. And I think there's a lot of opportunities in quick serve, fast casual, and full serve to maximize your revenues accordingly. And I think that there's a lot of white space there, and we got to figure it out. But I think, I just use the old kind of just a real quick one. I think, first of all, restaurants, our idea of dynamic pricing was always happy hour, right? We did happy hour and we said, hey, everything's half off from, 5 to 7. And it really wasn't very dynamic. It was just everything was half full from 5 to 7. It was really like, Jimmy was coming after work. He was going to pay $6 for a beer anyway, but now I'm going to give it to him for $3. He was going to pay $6. So it really isn't very clever, And so I think we have a better way of doing it. I think on a Friday or a Saturday night, the price of an item maybe should be differently priced than it is on a Monday when maybe business or it's not. So so that's an area where I think that we're seeing a lot of tech and a lot of ideas. And I think it dovetails into reservation. So I think these are not new ideas, but I think they're kind of new for our industry. And I think we have to work on that and kind of figure out a way to integrate it in that works, that we can maximize our revenues, just like airlines and hotels have been doing.
I think the only thing I want to add, because I think Schatzzy, your answer was pretty decent.
Thanks, Jimmy. Pretty decent. This thing was good. Pretty decent. That's like a
pretty decent.
Backhanded way of saying it sucked.
Yeah, the one thing I would say is I think we continue to believe at the end of the day that it is about food and it's about the beverages, it's about the service, it's about meeting the guests where they're at. So I think for tech to succeed, it almost has to be seamless for the guest experience. And I think to Schatzzy's point about dynamic pricing, or you talked about using data to help segment and think about how to approach certain guests. I think there's a lot of technology and data and analytics that are going to be pouring through our industry, as it does with every other industry. I just think there's a unique personal connection the guest has with consuming food, different than an airline seat, different than a car rental. And I think that high touch and that uniqueness holds us to a higher standard, whether that's fair or not fair, of how we leverage tech. But it's always going to be about the quality of your food and the experience, the value they get at DIG, and then how you can leverage tech to, again, accommodate and reward and communicate with your guests, I think, is what we're always trying to do. And of course, create efficiencies for your stores, better ordering, less waste, et cetera. So the tech is coming on in the most meaningful way. We just want it to be somewhat seamless for the benefit of you as an operator and, of course, your guests.
Makes a ton of sense. Thanks.
I got to tell you, Jimmy, you always take what I say, and you know what you do? You make it better.
Make it
you
better.
Really do. You really do. Let's jump in.
Thank you.
Jump into Jimbo. I think I hear some really exciting music coming right now. I think I hear something. You hear it. You hear it, right?
We hear it.
I hear it.
It sounds to me like the food service feud's about to start. Tracy Kim, are you ready to play a little food service feud
I am
with Mr.
ready.
Jimmy
I'm ready.
Frischling, the
Thanks,
Kim
Jimmy.
family, the Frischling family? Big prizes, big money.
Big money.
You're playing for your name. You're playing for your family. You're not just playing for, you and Jimmy. This is big stuff. We asked 100 million people on LinkedIn on Tuesday. Top 4 answers on the board. I'm going to give you the top 4 answers. You just have to tell me which is the number 1 answer, okay?
Okay.
Buzzer ready, Tracy?
Yeah.
Jimmy, buzzer ready?
Buzzer ready.
Ready.
All right, here we go. Which state has the highest volume of restaurant transactions between 9 and 10 p.m.? Is it Las Vegas, New York, Miami, or Los Angeles?
Buzz.
Tracy, go.
New York.
New York. And I'm sorry, Jimmy, you can steal. And I got to tell you, when I'm looking here, over $250,000 for the Frischling family. A lot of good stuff could be done with that money, Jimmy.
I'm hoping it's Vegas.
I got to tell you, I'm going to have to give another double buzz. It is, and this is the second week in a row, Jimmy, that you and our guests have failed to get the number one answer. The number one answer on the board. Jimbo, where were we just recently?
Miami.
In Miami. Fun fact about Miami, it's the 4th largest city by number of restaurants. I got to tell you, Jimmy and I were just down there, and I got to tell you, we were over in like that Brickell area. It was humming and jumping. Jimmy, we were leaving at like 11 o'clock. The place was packed, and everyone was still coming in. You know, things have definitely.
I wasn't going to pick LA. That's an early to bed crowd. But I thought
New York has definitely become a little bit more of a sleepier city. Since they made us close our restaurants at 11 o'clock. No comment, Jimmy. No comment. Okay, we're not going to go there right now. Okay, but we're going to get back. All right, let me jump into a little branded quick fire. All right, jump in a little branded quick fire. Here we go. Tracy, I'm going to ask you 5 lightning round questions.
Okay.
Don't think too hard. Just first thing comes to your mind.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Favorite childhood cereal?
I didn't eat cereal as a child. My parents didn't let me. NA.
Do you let your kids eat cereal?
Yes. They were so strict. And
what about your kids?
All I do is eat sugar cereal. My kid can do anything he wants.
So what's his favorite cereal?
Believe it or not, Cheerios. This is the value of
Honey Nut or
do
regular?
anything. Regular. He doesn't like Honey Nut. Doesn't like apple cinnamon
Love
either.
Cheerios.
Regular Cheerios.
Cheerios, solid. We're gonna go Cheerios there. But Tracy's parents were like, absolutely no Captain Crunch for her.
None. Zero.
Where are you getting dinner from tonight?
Where am I getting dinner from? I'm cooking.
I love it. What's your favorite food city in the world?
Barcelona.
Nice.
I love it.
Barcelona.
Jimbo, you know what? We skipped over trivia. We got to get back into that. It was my fault. We'll go quick fire to trivia.
I was letting you take the lead, sir.
I don't know. It's where's your favorite place to travel?
Favorite place to travel? I mean, I try not to go to the same place twice. My favorite trip so far ever. Is that the best way of?
Yeah, sure. Best place ever been to.
We went on safari in Africa and Kenya. It was amazing.
Yeah, Jimmy did a little Galapagos Island recently. He said that was pretty unbelievable. He had a great time.
It's a once-in-a-lifetime trip because it was fabulous, but I'm never going back.
Here we go. If you were to challenge Jimmy Rye to a game of the classic video game Tetris, what are better odds of beating?
Between the two of you, I would beat either one of you.
You are a Tetris killer?
I'm a Tetris killer. I can be both. You know what?
I'm backing off quickly on that, Chats, because I'm telling you, the pedigree that Tracy brings to the table.
Yeah, I mean, she's got all sorts of degrees and stuff.
I could beat you.
It has nothing to do with Tetris, but Tetris, man, I'm a Tetris killer. I loved it.
Tetris killer.
I love it.
Tetris killer.
All right, Jimbo, we missed the truth, the trivia. So let's bring it. Let's bring it back in.
This is a podcast first. We're not finishing on the quickfire. We're going back.
I like it. I like mixing it up a little bit, Jimmy.
Mixing up 2 truths and a lie. Remember at the top of the show, I shared 3 factoids about our friend Tracy. Tracy has climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. Tracy's been arrested. Tracy invented the 2-color pot of gold Lucky Charm marshmallow. Shatsy, what says you?
I mean, it's obviously, based on what we just talked about. She wasn't eating Lucky Charm. You don't know anything about Lucky Charm. Her mom and dad weren't letting her go anywhere near that. It's got nothing to do with Lucky Charm. Oh, wait a minute. What about at McKinsey when she was working on consumer products? Just because she didn't eat it doesn't mean she couldn't have had a phenomenal idea.
Trying to talk yourself out of your answer? Is that what you're doing here?
Yeah. Because I was like, oh, she never ate cereal. Her parents, would lock the cereal thing. But, at McKinsey, she was doing consumer, invented the 2-color pot of gold. Jimbo, so I got to get which is false, right, Jimmy?
Yes, that's the game that we play. Which one's not the
truths
truth?
and a false.
Two truths and a false.
I say she's never been arrested. Look at her. I mean, Tracy looks
All
so
right.
fantastic. She never had.
All right.
She never had Captain Crunch. There's no way she's ever been arrested.
Tracy, Schatz was struggling with this one, but he's going with that's the untruth. They've been arrested. Please tell us what you got.
Schatz, you got it right. That's the untruth.
Untrue.
You see, I knew it.
It was close.
She's never
Mount
been
Kilimanjaro,
arrested.
I
She was
thought
never even
you're
in a
an adventurer.
situation.
You're an adventurer. Now, please tell us a little bit about the 2-color pot of gold for Lucky Charms.
Yeah, so Lucky Charms. By the way, I'm a sugar cereal addict because of this job at General Mills. So Lucky Charms is my very first brand. As you can imagine, promotional sort of kitschy stuff works for that brand. And so,
Yes.
Every couple of years, you have to sort of invent a new marshmallow. That was my year, the 2-color pot of gold. It was game-changing because it was the first multicolor marshmallow.
First
And
multicolor marshmallow.
It freaking worked. That thing was a
Worked?
month.
Yeah,
It
I
worked.
love it.
It got canceled for the first time. It got canceled out last year. So it lasted.
Was that part of cancel culture or just
No,
wasn't selling?
No, like they took it out of the mix. So it,
Yeah.
but it lasted
Came up-
decades. It lasted
By the way-
decades. Let's give
By the
it.
way, could we do the Lucky Charms slogan or more song, or is that
It's
now
magically
that's
delicious.
probably politically incorrect now?
Why?
To kind
What?
of
Magically
put that on.
delicious?
Why?
Well, because
Lucky
you
the
didn't really do the
leprechaun?
heavy accent. The
Oh,
leprechaun.
maybe
What?
it is.
Well, I don't
know.
understand, but that's perfect. Oh, man,
By
come
the
on.
way,
It's magically
The beauty
delicious.
of St. Patrick's
Jimmy.
Day is the
Oh,
one
Jimmy.
the one holiday where everyone gets to be Irish. I don't know another holiday where everyone gets to join the holiday host. I think that's very special about Ireland and the Irish people. On their holiday, everyone's welcome to be Irish.
It's
They're
magically delicious.
delicious.
Magically
All right, listen.
delicious.
Tracy, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast, for chatting with us, dealing with our banter, even our mixing up segments and all that. We really
good.
appreciate and value what you're doing with DIG. I'm not just a fan of what you're doing with the brand, but I'm a fan of the brand. I just think it's so needed. It's wonderful. And again, to those who haven't experienced DIG, I'm telling you, this is kind of like, I don't know why the sandwich gets relegated to lunch and bowl somehow I can only eat my lunch meal if it's between two
Jimbo,
pieces
the
of bread.
bowl
No,
is
get the
relatively
bowl.
new compared
The
to the
bowl.
sandwich.
Get
The
the
Earl
bowl.
of Sandwich came up with the sandwich in 1462.
The bowl was a winner. I'm
You know,
telling you.
I mean-
Anyway, if you want to get in touch with Tracy directly, you can email the podcast team at podcast@brandedstrategic.com. We'd be happy to make the introduction. And to our listeners, again, we always want to end them thanking you for continuing to support the podcast. We love bringing on great leaders and innovators like Tracy, and we're also having some fun in our infotainment. We get to drop a little knowledge with folks like Tracy and hopefully have a good time. So I'm going to sign off now. Jimmy Frischling, your finance guy, with appreciation of Tracy, and I'll pass it back to my boy Schatzy to close this out.
And thank you, Jimbo. We're running a little bit behind today, but I just wanted to let everyone know that if you haven't already subscribed to our phenomenal weekly read, it's called the Hospitality Headline. And let me tell you, it comes out every Saturday morning at about 6 o'clock in the morning because Jimmy's up early.
Yes.
And that baby goes out. It's hospitalityheadline.com. If you don't subscribe to it, check it out. It is a fantastic Saturday morning read. It gives you highlights of everything happening in the business that we love. And you know who writes it? That's right, Mr.
This guy.
Jimmy Frischling, the finance guy, with his fabulous skills that he learned at Brant Lake when he was in the arts and crafts room
Yes.
because he broke his arm or something. And I got to tell you, it's good stuff. It's good stuff. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers, guys. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.